Ahoy, how are we, beautiful people? We are here with Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. This is part 32 of the readout. We are going to get into other sources of information. So witches, wizards, warlocks, magicians, and magi, get your monocles ready. Let's do this. Apart from using divination or situational analysis, other sources of information can be useful. Asking other people their opinions for a start. The more information you have about a situation, the greater flexibility you will have when you approach it from a magical angle. For example, I was recently approached by a third party on behalf of a client who wanted some kind of enchantment performed to meet a partner. I spent a couple of hours asking about the client's habits, social movements, personal qualities, and so forth, all of which helped me to decide not only what kind of enchantment to perform, but also in what way the spell should influence matters to bring about the desired result. Performing sorcery on behalf of other people is very good for your own practice. So anyone who needs that magic, hit me up, man. I got sigils for days. Pathways available. Generally, sigils are excellent for bringing about precise, short, or long-term results, which makes them excellent for works of results magic, healing, habit manipulation, inspiration, dream control, and the like. It is generally considered useful if you open a path for the intent to manifest along. There is a standard magical example about working for money that goes along the lines of Freda Beta does a spell for money and waits for the multiverse to provide him with the cash. In the following months, he gains financially after the sudden deaths of relatives, receiving industrial compensation after falling into a combine harvester and so on. That's harsh, man. Had he made sure that there was a possible pathway or route for the result to come in on, like writing a book, applying for a new job, or entering a lottery, he might have had a better time of it. This is the way magic often works, and shows that the multiverse, if nothing else, has a slappy sense of humour. Link intent. Once you have decided upon your intent, it can be turned into a symbolic code, a signal on which you can focus varying degrees of attention on, without recalling your initial desire. The two most common approaches to this are A. Monogram. Write out your intent, knock out all repeating letters, and from the rest, design a glyph. B. Mantra. Write out intent, scramble into a meaningless phrase or word which can then be chanted. Alternatively, you could rearrange the letters of your statement of intent so that it becomes another sentence, which can be used as a mantra. For example, I desire assistance in house hunting could become the sun can sing. In addition to the above, you can also have other media such as smell, taste, colors, body language, and hand gestures. Intense gnosis in different vacuity. Sigils can be projected into the multiverse by an act of gnosis, usually, but not necessarily, within some kind of ritual or magic context. Popular routes to gnosis include spinning, chanting, dancing, visualization, sensory overload or sensory deprivation, and sexual arousal. Giggity. The other altered state is that of indifferent vacuity, a sort of not particularly bothered state. An example of signalization by this route is to doodle sigils while listening to a talk which is boring, but you have to take notes on. Fire. This is simply the projection of the sigil into the void or multiverse at the peak of gnosis vacuity. Examples of this include orgasm, reaching the point of blackout from hyperventilation, or being asked a question about the boring talk that you were supposed to have been listening to. The projection of a sigil can, of course, be the main theme of a more or less orthodox magical ritual. Less orthodox methods include visualizing a sigil glyph as you feel a sneeze about to burst from your nose, or projecting a sigil at the moment when, after holding your bladder to the point where you need to urinate, becomes physically painful. You let go and feel the absolute bliss of relaxation. A popular approach to empowering a sigil is during the peak of physical orgasm, or at the point where pain becomes pleasure, and vice versa. As you peak into orgasm, visualize the sigil glowing brightly and then shooting off into the depths of space. Photon torpedo. If you're trying to influence a particular person, you can try imagining the sigil glowing on their chest. This sounds very dirty. Or whatever organ you find easiest to visualize. No, the sexual partners don't have to know what's happening. It does help though if you can give the necessary stimulation. And they can give you the necessary stimulation. Forget. Once your sigil has been fired, you are supposed to forget the original intent and let the butterfly effect take its course. Forgetting what you just did can often be the hardest part of the process. It's not so bad if the intent is something you don't really care about. Hence, beginning with sigils for things you aren't really too attached to is a good way to begin experiments. But is more difficult if it's something you really want to happen. As long as you don't dwell on the thoughts when they arise, it shouldn't matter too much. Time for another analogy. The ever-changing tangle of desires, wishes, fears, fantasies, etc., jostling around in our minds can be likened to a garden, albeit a somewhat unruly and overgrown one. Flowers, weeds, creepers, and the occasional buried gardening rake. Reminds me of Sideshow Bob when he treads on the rakes. Going through the Signalization process can be likened to becoming suddenly enthusiastic about tidying the garden up. You isolate one plant, i.e. your intent, separate it from others, feed it, water it, and prune it until it stands out from the rest and is clearly visible on the landscape, and then suddenly get bored with the whole job and go indoors to watch television. We're going to leave it there. We'll be back tomorrow with the 33rd part of Chaos that is condensed. Till then.